All right. Hello, everyone. I hope this is all working and you can all see me. It's my first time doing this live stream through the Zoom, so it's a bit weird to not see the audience. But anyway, let's begin. My name is Iuliia Algasova. I'm here for the first time in Stanford. Super happy to be here. And today we're going to talk about the future of AI and learning content. And we're going to try to answer this interesting question that I'm sure many of you have asked yourselves. Can AI replace instructional designers or learning creators? So a bit about me, I'm an instructional design manager. I'm based in Georgia. It's Western Asia. So it's very late evening for me right now, but I'm happy to be here. And I work at EPAM Systems, an IT corporation. So we do a lot of AI and learning stuff there. So let's begin. So a bit about the content of today's presentation. We're going to start with the story. So how did the story begin? Why did I even decide to talk about AI replacing instructional designers? There is quite a story behind it, so I'll tell you about that. And then we'll take a look at ways to work with AI, if not being replaced by it. So first of all, what can we enhance in our work with the help of AI? Then what we can delegate to AI. And lastly, we'll answer this question that's probably on everyone's mind if you came to this presentation. And by the way, thank you very much for coming. So let's begin with the story. And the story began kind of like that. It was me and my colleagues in a room with a client, and the client told us, you know, guys, can you substitute instructional design work with AI? It wasn't out of the blue. We were doing quite a lot of AI automation stuff for this particular client. And then they received a task where they need to put lots of paper-based content, like huge amounts of paper-based content, into e-learning format. So they just even couldn't imagine how many instructional designers had to be hired to do this job. So since we were already doing different tasks automation with the usage of AI, they told us, you know what, maybe you can create an instructional designer that is fully AI powered. So as you probably are thinking right now, our first answer was, no, we can't do that. Absolutely not. Why would we do that? Why would we create something that could potentially replace us? But the client was, they were like, guys, this is not a rhetorical question. This is actually a task. We want you to experiment, to go through this, to test it out, to tell us what you got as a result, and maybe we will be able to use it. Maybe it's not fully replaceable, but we'll be using it anyway. So it's the task. So we decided to approach it this way. The first thing we needed to do is decompose the work of an instructional designer into observable and measurable components, right? Because those are the only things that can be automated. The second thing was to see those observable components, which of them can be automated and still be performed with the same level of certainty and quality. Lastly, we needed to make sure that those components, even if they are AI powered, they work predictably and it's easy to manage them. It's not always easy to manage instructional design team, but if we're making an AI powered thing, we wanted to make it certain, high quality, and predictable. So we started to do that. It was exciting, a bit scary, but also exciting. And we came upon the first blocker. And I think many of you probably know what the blocker is. When you try to break the work of a learning creator into measurable and observable components, you understand that learning creator's job has unmeasurable and unobservable components to it. Some of them are, of course, empathy and emotional understanding. This is a huge part of the work of a learning creator. And without it, I'm not really sure we will be able to create good learning materials and learning solutions. So this is something that AI doesn't have. All right, what else? Creative problem solving, right? So the thing is that you probably all know that AI works, it's not doing anything creative. It's basing its responses, especially LLMs, on the data that is already there. So there is nothing creative going on. It's just reiterating something that has been already said. And some people can argue, well, we are also reiterating something that has already been said. But still, there is a higher level of creativity to humans that AI cannot really do. And lastly, holistic approach to learning design. So we as humans can see the whole picture, the very big bird's eye view, right? So we understand that there are learners, there are assessment pieces, there are different challenges in their lives. Maybe we have different components to the learning system. And AI doesn't have that. It's very good in just handling one task. The more narrow it is, the better. So that was the blocker number one. We understood that, well, okay, maybe we can still create an ID that is AI powered, but it's just not going to be very, empathetic, creative, and have this holistic view. Then we came upon blocker number two. And this was, even if we replace many things with AI, we would still need to have human intervention. And this is because AI still hallucinates and malfunctions regularly. We need to have human in charge of crisis management, because crises happen on educational projects lots of times. There are problems with subject matter experts, with the deadlines, with the clients, with anything. And it's going to be good to have a human in charge of that. And third of all, security and ethics risks, of course, right? So there are many security risks. Of course, there are ways to make the LLMs and Gen AI machines fully secure, but still there are some risks related to that. So together with all these things, we understood that quality control is essential. We need to put a human in charge, so they would ensure quality, relevance, and appropriateness of content. So that would not be a fully AI-powered AD, right? This would be something, but then a human would still do the checking and the control. Okay, well, with that in mind, we decided to move on. And we've been testing how different components work. And testing those tasks led us to two conclusions. There are two big groups of tasks in the learning creation sphere. Some of these tasks can be enhanced with the usage of AI, so not fully delegated, but just enhanced. And some of them, yes, can be delegated completely. So we can maybe have a bit more time for something more interesting. So now let's talk about these two groups. This was actually super beneficial for us, even if we were not creating an AI-powered AD, because this is something we took and we're currently using ourselves just to make us a bit more efficient and effective at our job. Why not, right? Okay, so first let's talk about the things that we can enhance with AI. And I'm pretty sure that it's already 2024. Many people are using AI right now. So many of these are going to be very obvious for you, but still, administrative and communicative tasks. AI is great in drafting letters, writing different kinds of communication for you, or giving you drafts, right? So we cannot fully delegate it to it, but it's given a very good head start. Then it's a great tool in terms of brainstorming, right? As I said, it's basing its responses on this collective consciousness. So it's a perfect partner for brainstorming. It can give you as many ideas as are out there already. Structuring and systemizing, because it's really good in analyzing large amounts of content. So it's pretty good in that. And writing and quizzes, of course, right? Gen AI, LLMs, they're pretty good in writing just the content pieces and the test questions. But that's why I'm saying that this is only enhancing your work with AI, right? Not fully delegating, because we can never be super sure that all these are great and perfect and we can just leave them as is. We will need to do a pretty thorough rework anyway. So I wanted to share just one example here. It's going to be a little demo of how you can easily enhance your work with AI. This is a brainstorming example. And sorry, this chat interface can look a bit different. This is our EPAM internal style, like secure for IT organization, but it's a basic chat GPT. So here I'm giving it a prompt. I'm saying, hi, ChatGPT, because I want to be polite to it, just in case. I wanted to act as an instructional designer with technical background. And I ask it to brainstorm practice activities for a course, and I'm specifying what course I'm giving, right? So in this particular case, I'm doing a course for software developers, learning to become software testers. And I wanted to give me some ideas for practice because I'm out of ideas at this point. I'm also given some limitations to make sure that all activities are performed online in self-paced course without a mentor, because that's my case. And one last thing I do is I ask it to present ideas in the form of a table, because it's easier for me to scan through and to like copy and paste and then discuss later with my colleagues. So I'm asking it to format the table in a way of 3 columns: activity, learning objective, and activity description. So let's take a look at what it gives back. And you can see that it pretty easily forms a big table. I can see that learning objectives are not perfect Bloom's taxonomy wise, but it's something, as I said, right? It's something that can enhance your work, not make you super efficient. But there are already really good examples. It's relevant to what I said. It gives me a very good description of an activity. They even come from like the very easy practice activity to a very difficult one. So it's really great. I'm not going to use them as is, but what I did actually with this table, I just took it and I gave it to my SMEs and we brainstormed together. And yeah, at the end, we got a really good activity examples out of this, just polished them up a bit. So this is on enhancing. Now let's talk about delegation. What can we fully delegate to AI and not really check, but maybe a little. And here I have 3 ideas for you. And pretty much everything here relates to analysis in some ways, right? Feedback analysis. For example, we at my organization, we have tons of feedback. We have 50,000 people. So feedback is always in huge amounts. Analyzing it manually as a person is a very tedious task. So AI does a really good job in that. It makes sure to highlight patterns, to systemize it, and to make it very easy for you to go through. The same with learning analytics. So we have a lot of different markers, student performance, engagement rate, and all that. Analyzing it as a human is a bit more difficult than just delegating that to AI. And of course, context indexing and organization. It's the same because it's perfect in going through large scale data. It's much more fast, it's much faster and much more efficient. And here I also wanted to show you just a tiny example. So here you can see that this is feedback in a PDF form. It's just something I downloaded out of one compliance course. It's in different languages, so you can see the questions and the feedback given. And as you can see on the screenshot, on the screen there are more than 17 pages of that. So for me personally, going through that, it would probably take me, I don't know, 4 hours or so. Some of this data is a duplicate, some of this data is just in a language that I might not understand. So I would need to translate and to go back and forth. And then for me to highlight the patterns in that would take me another probably 2 or 5 hours or so. So what I'm doing is I'm using the RAG application. The RAG application allows you to upload documents into LLMs, and it basically runs the prompt that you put inside against any kind of document that you upload. So here I'm first creating the prompt, and my prompt is to help me analyze the feedback for the QMS awareness course, which is compliance. And I want it again to present in the form of a table, and I'm specifying the fields. What I wanted to do is to highlight common feedback, example, and proposed solution. Maybe it can already help me brainstorm. Then I'm choosing the document, so it will take me just a couple of seconds to choose it. Okay, and then it will do its magic fairly quickly. So I like these 3 fields for feedback, common feedback, example, and proposed solution, because the example section can help me trace it back to the document and see if this is real data or if it hallucinated a bit. So this is kind of like a very quick check to see if the patterns are real or not. So here you can see it's already doing the magic, common feedback, right? It noticed that a lot of people were given positive feedback on course structure. Many people were requesting more interactive content. Some people had difficulty with visual content, and it even translates some of the things that were given in a different language because my prompt is in English. And it's really good in scanning the other languages as well. It even gives me, as I requested, right, a little column with proposed solutions, because it's also going to make my job much easier when I go back to the team with this and we analyze the feedback together. So this is on delegation. And again, not 100% delegation, but let's say 99.9. All right, so now you're probably all wondering, while we're approaching the end of the speech, well, what about AI-powered instructional designer? What about replacement? Well, we still needed to get the job done. We understood that we can enhance things, we can delegate things, there are blockers, but still, we understood that some components can be automated fully, right? Some components can be slightly automated. So we did that. We built and tested prompts that fulfilled these tasks that usually an instructional designer does. We assessed the result, measured the effectiveness, and compared it to potential quality loss. So how much would we lose compared to what a human instructional designer does? And the result that we all got was it worked. Not perfectly, but it worked and it got the job done. So I also wanted to show you a little demo here. So in the demo, in the system prompt, we've put this monstrous prompt that we created, which is not a good practice. Prompts shouldn't be this way, but it's still there. And in this section, I've just fed raw content, raw textbook content, nothing else. No sections, no learning objectives, nothing. And what the prompt did, AI-powered instructional designer prompt, right? It highlighted the introduction. It took out the learning objectives from the text and make sure they're Bloom's taxonomy appropriate, so observable and measurable. It created body section and divided it into further, more like micro-learning style sections. It even simplified the text a tiny bit because the textbook text was a bit more complicated. It gives suggestion in terms of like which diagrams to use, which illustrations to add, which kind of interactivity on our LMS platform we can use for that. So it basically turns your raw content into a ready-made storyboard ready to be uploaded to your e-learning portal. So as I said, it doesn't do like a huge job, right? It doesn't go to the subject matter expert. It doesn't talk to them. It doesn't think about empathy and emotional understanding and learner personas. But it does this very simple job of turning raw content into an e-learning format. And it even creates a conclusion with just key takeaways pinpointed. Yeah, so here you can see this was the raw text. There was nothing in it, just plain text. And then it created this kind of like storyboard format thing. So how does the story ends? Let's finish up. First of all, AI-powered ID works, but it works kind of like as a very new junior on the project, very new. What I mean is it doesn't always understand the task correctly. We sometimes have to reiterate and rephrase the task many times. It gets some work done, but ignores other parts. So for example, our prompt, and again, it's not good practice, right? Later on, we polished it up a bit because we talked to some data scientists. But since it's so huge, and even if we combined little tiny prompts together, it still ignores some parts of work. It still requires thorough review, so we cannot just copy and paste it. It still learns to become better, as right? We are learning to prompt better. We are learning to communicate with it better, and it learns to give us better results. And yes, I wanted to finish up on this very simple note that AI is your friend. You're probably all, I hope all of you think about it this way at this point. It cannot replace you, right? You can see that it only does not even 20% of your job because there are so many components that are not AI automated. So, right, AI is a friend, but still, when we compare a person who uses AI to a person who doesn't use AI, and both of them are instructional designers, and one of them has learned prompting, and much more, the first one is going to be much more powerful, especially in the future, than the second one that says, well, I'm not even considering learning about that. AI is as any other innovation that's been here with humanity for all these years, right? As soon as we started cultivating land, there was no going back. Then book printing, no going back. The same with AI. So there's probably no going back. We still need to befriend it. So I have just a few takeaways here for you that I hope will be helpful. First of all, to embrace the change. Do not be scared of replacement. Just embrace it. Make sure that you're okay with AI and you learn a bit more about it. Learn from technologists. This is what helped us a million. We decided to go work with data scientists. We had access to them, which was a huge benefit, right? But before we had access, we just Googled the courses that were not created for learning specialists, just so kind of we understand more of this inside kitchen of the AI, and it helped a ton. Evolving the skill set, of course, right? So AI will automate some tasks, but there are so many other tasks in instructional designers' life that will not be automated with AI, but we can still upskill and make sure we are stronger, and multifaceted, and we know so much more that no AI tool will ever replace us at all. And lastly, of course, staying ethical and human. This is something that AI will never replace. Make sure that you keep the human elements at the core of your design: empathy, fairness, inclusivity, and love for learning. And you will never have to worry about AI ever replacing you. So thank you everyone very much. I hope I've been within the time frame. So as far as I see it, I'm good. Sorry if I was a bit hurrying up. I was just making sure we get through everything. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or ping me in Gmail or at my work mail. I'll be happy to talk about anything instructional design, AI, skills related. I'm really, really happy to talk about that. So it's time to answer some questions. I see that we have a few questions in the chat. Let me go through them one by one. The first one, what is the guidelines to acknowledge AI-powered help as a resource in the coursework? How is it done? What is the best practice? All right, so first of all, we never write fully AI-generated content out there to students. So AI is just used as a buddy to help you draft something. And even this prompt that worked as an AI-powered instructional designer, this was still a draft. So as we see it now, if it's a draft that gets heavily reworked in the process, we don't really acknowledge it that much, because in the end, it can be just, something that has changed so much, it's crazy. There were some courses where we wanted to try how users accepted not heavily reworked AI content. In this case, we made sure to put sorry, I forgot the word, disclaimer. We made sure to put a disclaimer on the learning platform and say that this content was created with the help of AI. It's not 100% AI generated, but it was created with the help of AI. And we made sure to highlight in that disclaimer that we are welcoming any kind of learner feedback because we really want to know how this is perceived. And surprise, surprise, it wasn't perceived very well. So we went back from that into just, reworking the content and making sure that we're only using the AI part for drafts. Hopefully I answered your question. Let's go on. How do you ensure feedback analysis is accurate? That's a great question. So first thing I do is I'm asking this AI, as you remember, I have this column with examples. So I'm asking AI to actually pull up the examples from the document so I can trace them back. And the RAG application even allows you to just click the link and that it will trace it back to the document that you have. So I'm doing that. But of course, it doesn't mean that everything is accurate. What we did at first is we tried to thoroughly review, first of all, by a human, and second of all, by AI, and compare the results. And so far, we didn't really get any hallucinations noticed. So it works pretty well. We still, right now, just for the sake of time, we're not checking everything, and only because it's not really influencing anything a lot. So we are only using it for internal content. So any kind of feedback we'll get from that, any way we can improve content, perfect, that's good. If we were using it for, I don't know, client or something more important, I think we would probably need to go back and check at least some of the main patterns just to make sure that it didn't hallucinate completely. Okay, next question. When analyzing student feedback, how do you ask for percentages of students for each theme for common feedback? Okay, this is actually something that we can prompt, right? So I didn't ask for in this particular prompt, but this is something that we can do. We can ask it to treat the whole percentage of feedback as 100% and give us the percentages that LLM noticed for any particular trend. So you can go ahead and try that. We have tried it a few times. It's not 100% perfect, but at least it gives you a bit of more of the data. And I'm pretty sure very soon there are going to be tools that do that without you prompting anything. And I see that we're already out of time. I'll be happy to answer other questions as well. I see that there are a couple more. Just very quickly, there's a question about specific AI application I used. It's actually just very simple ChatGPT. There is now an option to link documents there. The one that I showed you is just the one created for our company, EPAM. So it's very secure because we're an IT company, so we do not use the OpenAI version of ChatGPT. but it's absolutely the same. The difference is in just the level of security. Okay, well, thank you. Hopefully I can answer some other questions soon. Please feel free to ping me and I'll be happy to continue the conversation. Thank you all very much and have a great rest of the conference. Very exciting. And thank you again for coming. Bye-bye.